Overlord stars Jovane Adepo, Wyatt Russell and Mathalite Oliver, and is directed by Julius Avery, and tells the story of a small band of American soldiers finding horror after their plane crash lands behind enemy lines in an old French town. Now, Overlord has been released through J.J. Abrams' production company Bad Robot, which led to a lot of speculation that this film may be set in the Cloverfield franchise and universe, but J.J. has since come forward and mentioned that it's not tied to the Cloverfield movies in absolutely any way. So what we have here is a standalone film. Now, my introduction to Julius Avery was through his 2014 film Son of a Gun, starring Ewan McGregor, and I really enjoyed that film, and I think for me what makes that film work well is an importance placed on strong characterization. So he had solid writing and we had some great performances from the cast. And here Julius Avery really tries to go in the same vein by setting up some interesting characters before the conflict hits. And the main players in this film, we have Boyce, who is really just a man thrust into war, who's not really a soldier. As he puts it in the film, 3 months ago I was cutting grass in my front yard and now I'm here. And he also really provides the moral conscience of this story as well. We have Corporal Ford, played by Wyatt Russell, who is the leader of the small group and is entirely focused on the mission at hand. We have Chloe, who is a civilian in the small town who helps the group out when they need help. And we also have Waffner, who is an officer tracking the soldiers. Now, while the characterization and writing here I don't think will rival any of the best war movies we've had in history, I did appreciate the effort that this film went to into setting up some of these characters, and also the first 2 acts of this movie I think are pretty solid. What I also really appreciated here was the focus on using more practical based special effects in this film as opposed to using more CGI. And look, it can be an easier route for filmmakers to go into the direction of CGI these days, but you just can't beat the look of practical based special effects in films, because these effects are physically there in frame for the cameras to capture. The practical based effects here really help to sell some of the action sequences in Overlord here, and this is not really a spoiler because it is actually in the trailer, but we have a very effective opening sequence involving a real plane which is rigged on a gimbal and is tilted, that allows stuntmen to actually go through a real fire here. So it works really well within the film, and there's also some really good makeup and prosthetics that are really used in more of the horror-based elements of Overlord. So technically speaking, it's a pretty cool film. Now look, while there's some great tension in the first half of this movie, and particularly the first 2 acts, when the soldiers leave Chloe's house to take down the tower is where the film completely derails. And unfortunately, it just goes into silliness. Now, according to sources, the entire 3rd act of this film was actually rewritten, and what we got was something completely different from the original screenplay that was written by Billy Ray. And it sadly shows, guys, because the result in this 3rd act is something that's completely disjointed from the first half of this movie. And while we have some technically impressive makeup and prosthetics going on, there's a direction for the main antagonist of the film which doesn't really work from a storytelling perspective here. It feels far too cartoonish and silly, and doesn't really line up with the gritty realism that the first 2 acts are going for in this film. It's such a shame, really. I did appreciate the effort that went into the first and second acts of Overlord here, and yes, the 3rd act doesn't really quite work in this film, but if there's a plus to it, it's the fact that the 3rd act is pretty short. So this results in a perfectly okay action movie over the holiday period, but by the time Christmas hits, you probably won't remember it.
Burning people with these flamethrowers, and they're still moving the bodies, cocoon things in there.
Did you get eyes on the tower compound?
She doesn't have a body, and she's still talking, and I saw Roosevelt.
Boyce! Did you get eyes on the tower compound?
So guys, what did you think of Overlord? Be sure to let me know in the comments below what you thought of the film. And of course, if you dug this review, don't forget to flick a like and subscribe. Hit that little notification bell as well so you never miss a video update. More reviews coming soon, guys. And remember, a weekend watching movies is a weekend well spent. Thanks for watching.